Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Tome Travelers. This is episode 7. It's a new month. It's a new book. Dylan, what book are we reading this month?
We are reading Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff.
I'm so excited. There is a spoiler warning for the prologue through chapter 2 of this book. That's kind of what we covered, what we're going to cover in the episode. So if you haven't read them, go ahead and read them real quick and then come back and listen to us. But before we get into our discussions of the book, we have a fantasy question. Whitson, what is our question?
Who's your favorite fantasy side character?
Okay.
Woo.
Can I go first here?
Absolutely.
Go for
Because
it.
when you told me this question, I immediately had my character in mind. All right. I'm going to choose Renarin.
Oh,
Okay.
I absolutely love Renarin. I remember, like you get little hints of him in the first book, but he's in the Stormlight Archive for those who don't know who I'm talking about. You get little hints of him in the first book. In the second book, you get to really see him a lot more, but you still don't like get any point of view chapters from him. You don't know anything about him. At the end of the second book, something happens to him, and I'm just like, I love him so much in this moment, and so I'm just gonna go with Renarin. That is my favorite side character.
Okay, fair enough.
I
What's yours, Dylan?
So, you know when you're playing Skyrim and you walk into that one city and the follower comes up?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So mine's extremely basic, and like there are probably way better side characters, but Samwise Gamgee, it just takes the cake. Here's the deal. That was like, I remember as a kid, like watching Lord of the Rings, reading the books, and it's just like, that's the character that was always like, had Frodo's back, and like, at the end of you're kind of like, man, Sam could have been the main character. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like he's like the epitome of a side character.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, he kind of defined the role.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Okay, well, so mine is the Dog Man from the
Oh.
First Law.
Okay.
He's so funny, and he's also the voice of wisdom a lot of the time. He's like really easygoing for this guy that's traveled with a band of murderers for most of his life. There's a scene. This is like really low stakes, like no spoilers. There's a scene in Before They Are Hanged where he's coming out of this this tent where a bunch of rich people were, and he walks up to one of the other like POV characters and just pulls an entire fish out of his pocket and says, "Ain't all bad, I got a fish," and just walks away, and the chapter ends. And that's the Dog Man in a nutshell, and I love him.
That's awesome. Well,
All right.
all right. Well, with our question answered, we can go ahead and jump into episode 7 of The Tome Travelers.
Tome Travelers.
Boom, boom.
All right, let's jump in. So we meet the killer, or Gabriel de Leon, the last of the Silver Saints. He's in some sort of prison, and he's talking to a vampire historian, giving his story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all we know so far.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's go first impressions real quick. What are some
Alright,
initial first
so-
impressions?
My first impression is I read the first like sentence, and it was like, in the 27th year of Day's death, the murderer was in the realm of the Forever King, and his murderer was waiting to die. And like that opening sentence is just like, okay, let's jump in.
Yeah,
we learned some things.
Yeah. We just kind of get thrown into the fire right here. Okay, what does all
Yeah,
this
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So I am imagining that this is going to be pretty funny read. It strikes me as like pulpy in the actual content
Okay,
of it, but
yeah.
then in this like little foreword, like the opening lines of the book are "Ask me not if God exists, but why he's such a prick," and like that, I could not have laughed any harder. And I really hope that it stays like pulpy and just like sarcastic and
Yeah.
fun,
yeah.
because that's the vibe it's giving me.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you thought about it so far?
I really like it. I'm definitely like very confused at like the scope of everything that's going on right now, but I feel like it's just because I've only read like 3 chapters, pretty much, like the prologue and 2 chapters. So it's like there's definitely a lot that I don't know, and that's probably it's going to answer itself out. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to keep going for sure.
Well, so like we know obviously like he's gonna go back. This book's gonna be him telling his story, and me and Whitson were talking before we started the podcast about how we like books like that, how we kind of know where he ends up and what's going on, but now we got to figure out how he got there. Why is that? Well, we know he's why he's there, but
Yeah, yeah. We were saying
how it
it's like it's kind of reminiscent of like Quoth and the Chronicler from Name of the Wind, where like the character is going to survive, but they're gonna get the shit beaten out of them. And, like,
some bad shit happens. Obviously, we see he's got some issues. He may or may not have a drug addiction.
yeah, which
That
was such
funny.
a cool scene. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
after that scene, I was like pretty confident that this is going to be a good read. Like this
Well, like-
writer like has some prose and like really made you like feel the Gabriel's like craving.
Yeah, well, that's the deal. Like he's so tough, like he's getting compelled, and he's standing. And he's like, "I'm not gonna sit down for nothing." And then he brings out the blood, the dried blood, and he's like, "I
Oh,
ain't
never
master.
mind.
I'll sit
Yeah,
down."
it's like very like heroin almost. Like
Yes,
he's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
heroin addict.
Well, so like, what do we think about that? Because we see that the drug gives him like enhanced senses and all this other stuff.
Right.
I'm wondering if the Silver Saints, that's how they fight against vampires, is they smoke that stuff for the enhanced senses, maybe a little bit stronger strength or something. I don't know how that
Right,
works.
and that gives them like the level to be able to
Right,
contest
right.
the vampire. Yeah.
Right. So like this religious group that goes and fights vampires, they have to get high as fuck beforehand.
Just before every raiding party, they're all just sitting in a room smoking, getting high.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm imagining them passing around a crack pipe.
Yeah,
yeah.
straight up.
Jerry, did you bring the 8-ball? No, fuck.
Yeah.
You got to rock, man. You got to rock.
Oh,
But
man.
and then we also see that he talks about the potency of it because obviously the blood was from the we get introduced to her character
Margot?
Yeah, Margot Chastain, the undying empress of wolves and men. So I'm assuming she's really old, and so I'm assuming her blood's probably more potent.
Yeah, like maybe she's one of the like old lines of vampires or something.
Yeah. Well, she's got a crest, and it says that every bloodline has a crest, and her crest is the wolves and the moon. But
Yeah,
so she's the original one of a bloodline of vampires.
Right, and I'm kind of like assuming this is gonna follow like some pretty well established like vampire rules.
Tropes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I believe that too, which
Yeah.
I like. I like that.
Like,
I don't.
Even at the beginning, it had something about like can I come in to like talking about like outside of the cell or whatever. I'm like, okay,
Right.
so we're gonna be following traditional stuff here. So
And fire.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
said, like if they touch fire,
yeah,
which I
Yeah.
like. I prefer keep it. It's obviously been around for this long for a reason. Like
Right.
it works.
like
Don't-
it's fun to put some spice in there and do some fun
Yeah.
stuff, but like let's
Yeah,
keep the
which
yeah.
I think
Don't
he's
ma- don't
already
make them
kind of
sparkle.
like worked that in with the whole crack pipe thing. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
already a new like weird twist.
But it's
and
a
it's
really
like-
good one.
It's small and like kind of I mean it's not subtle. It's literally him fiending for a pipe, but like
Yeah.
Right.
it's still like not this giant change to like the traditional vampire. It's like no, that's scary enough. Like I'll just like make the world interesting around the concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Which maybe
And
he
then-
fucks it up. Maybe he fumbles the bag, but so far so good.
Yeah. And then, so we see this historian guy walk in, the vampire. His name's John Francois. Maybe that's how you say that.
I'm gonna say that
Jean-
you're right.
We are probably going to
Jean
butcher all
Francois?
these names, by the way.
Yeah, we're not friends.
We're from the south.
Yeah. So, like, what do y'all think about? What do you think about his character so far?
Well, so like I meant to bring up in the kind of like opening statements. This gives me like Interview with a Vampire
Yeah,
vibes
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So I think it's been so long since I read that book, but it's like Lestat is the blonde like Brad
Yeah.
Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Interviewing the other one. That's kind of the vibe that I got from him. Like,
Yeah, the vampire Lestat.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Like,
Who's
like I said-
Tom Cruise? What's his name?
He's the main character, the
Oh, what's
God,
his
I can't
name?
remember. Dude, we read that book when we were like 14. I don't know. But the um the dynamic between them is kind of
Okay,
like hard to figure out because it seems like Gabriel could just kill him, but maybe not
well, no,
somehow.
he
Like,
says that he's at disadvantage right now. He doesn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tom
What
Cruise is Lestat and Brad Pitt is Luis.
oh, okay. Yeah.
it also kept saying like about like following the laws or whatever, like the first law. What were
Yeah,
they?
Law the First, the
Yeah,
dead cannot
the
kill the
dead
dead.
cannot kill. Yeah, so he's like
So
I
like if you're
shouldn't.
dead, you can't kill other dead people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Law the
The
Second, dead
second,
tongue heated or
yeah, our
dead
dead
tongue
tongues
tasted.
tasted. I really like that. Like, I hope there's like
Yeah,
a huge list of laws that
list
we're
of
gonna
them.
like
Yeah,
figure out throughout this book. Like, there's a book that I read when I was in high school, which it gets a lot of hate, but I genuinely liked it. It's the Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. It's the first in the Sword of Truth series, but this the wizards in this world have like a list of rules that like constitute their magic. And so as you read the books, you learn more and more of the rules that constitute the magic. I'm really hoping that this book does the same thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I
could
like
be
that too.
really interesting. I
Well,
like the like Castlevania-esque
Yeah.
like aspect to
yeah,
all of it.
yes, and like so, if y'all have the book, y'all can see he draws. There's pictures in it too, and it's really like old timey.
Yeah. I will say the artwork in this book is gorgeous. Like I remember flipping through this and I was like, whoa, like and it's not just like, oh, there's like one page of art like in the first half and another. It's like no, there's art like every couple of pages.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
it's just really well done. Do we
and
know who sorry, do we know who illustrated this book?
I'm looking right now, but yeah, if you didn't order a physical copy,
Oh
especially
my
the
gosh.
hardback,
Okay.
go for it. It's so cheap and so worth it.
so like what
Interior
I really like.
illustrations were by Bon Orthwick. So Bon Orthwick, you're doing amazing.
What I really liked about it though is he tied the illustrations into the story. He,
Yeah.
he talks about how the Francois or John
Sean,
is sketching while he's writing.
Yeah.
yeah, like inhumanly fast and like
Yes.
crazy
So to me
precise
that is so cool
sketching.
because it's like the book we have in our hands is like a copy of the book that he's writing. To
Yeah. But
it's
it's
just really
almost
cool to me.
it gives me vibes of like in Stormlight where like it's Shallan's sketchbook and those are all the sketches that are in the book are like the
Yeah.
things that Shallan has drawn. So I like
Yeah.
that the fact that it's kind of like the same thing. It's giving us the same imagery that we're reading along with as we see it. So I like it.
Yeah, and I like having like official like canonized depictions of characters sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like I just think that's cool to have artwork that's like this is what the character looks
Yeah.
like.
That way
Yeah.
you're not picturing just random stuff like you have a clear picture in your head.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember before the podcast, Whitson, you were talking, you said, dang, Gabriel's a Giga Chad. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like 3 pages from where we stopped. I was just flipping through and looking at the art. Like 3 pages from where we stopped, there's just like a shirtless, like thirst trap of Gabriel.
What I like too, though, is it shows you. So, like, when it describes his scars under his eyes, it says they're like tears, and then, like in the picture, you can actually see it. Like they're
yeah.
two like lines.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah, and you
reminds me
can
like
see
of
the
Cyberpunk.
patience tattoo too.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm really excited to see where this thing goes.
I am too. So we see that when he's asking him to tell his story, or basically telling him to tell his story, feeding him drugs to get him to do what he wants. He's talking about a grail.
Yeah.
What do we think this grail is gonna be?
Oh, the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
it
or
was
like an endless fount of blood, maybe.
well, I think the way they have a quote in there or something that talks about how when talking about the grail about how men will end the Nevernight or the uh day's death.
Oh, so it's like some kind of way to bring back their god, maybe?
Let me see if I can find exactly what it says real quick.
Does it say that their god had like abandoned them, or
No, so it says they don't know how the day's death happened. It just one day it came up and it was like basically smoke covered the sun, and so all they see during the day is like a candle light.
yeah?
But okay, so here's the quote: "From holy cup comes holy light. The faithful hand sets world aright, and in the seven martyrs' sight, mere man shall end this endless night." And
Mhm.
that's when they're talking about the Grail. So it sounds like
Yeah.
it's a thing for the humans to stop the day's death or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, what do we think about Gabriel having to kill his sister and like
Oh
his
Okay.
his
man.
childhood
Yeah.
crush?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that was wild. So like, because I'm like at this point, like I was reading, I was still like confused of like everything that's going on. I'm like still trying to figure out that we're getting like him flashbacking, telling a story. That's what's happening. Like it was still kind of confusing for me. I'm not sure why, but whenever like this happens, like like this is his first crush. It just started like his crush just bit his sister just right there, like threw him on the table, then just started eating him, and then they had to like burn both of his crush and his sister, and he's just sitting
Yeah.
there watching. Like, what a way to set up a character, dude.
Well, like
Like,
the imagery was so cool to me when he's
yeah,
like, they must have been thrown in a bog. They were wet and muddy, and they come up like in the picture. Because again, there's pictures all through, like the picture of them with like the black hair, like that's straight from a horror movie. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
but like, and then it said, yeah, it rips in her mom's throat, and then like when he puts his hands around her neck or whatever, it says heat flooded up from his arms, and she fell back, skin bubbling like her blood was boiling. So do we think he's got some sort of like power against vampires or
That's what it seems like, or maybe he
I'm
had like
not
a
sure.
silver ring on or
well, he
something.
did have the silver necklace that his mom
Right.
gave him. But
Okay,
I don't remember
so
it saying it was in
does
his
this
hand
have
or whatever.
something to do with who his father is? Because we know who, like the dad who raised him is not his actual father,
Right.
right?
And we know he's half vampire too.
Okay,
Because it says he was part human and then his mom tells him that there's a thirst in him.
but what if his mom's lying?
That's true. But then why would he also be part human? I guess he could be part something else, but
I don't know. We'll figure it out though.
well, he said he acts like he needs blood too at the beginning,
Okay,
remember?
yeah,
Because like he's talking about mixing blood in his drink and all that other stuff. But so his mother was the daughter of a baron, and so I guess like there's no telling who his father actually is.
right.
But I'm wondering if that comes back around.
Mm-hmm.
I know
I would almost have to imagine it.
I do too. So, but like I know how these books usually work out, and like the Forever King's gonna be his dad or something. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's just usually how these books. Which again, I'm okay with. Like, I wanted this to be kind of a tropey book because I wanted it to be fun.
Right, right. And if it is gonna stay like pulpy, kind of like we're kind of hoping it for, my guess is that's gonna be how it's gonna work out.
Right. But if it's not, maybe we'll get surprised. You know,
Right. And
maybe
if
he'll
it
surprise
does,
us.
let's just hope it's a really good execution because
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah. I really like this guy's writing so far.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, that's what I was
it's
telling
good.
y'all. Yeah, that's what I was telling y'all. I've read another one of his books, the Nevernight series. I've read the first two, and I really, really enjoy his writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like pretentious, but also like the word choice and like the tone and like the prose is still good
Yeah,
without being like flowery and like, you know.
yeah. Well, it keeps me like into it. Like
Yeah.
I've had this read since last week, and I've been telling them like every day, like, hey, I want to keep reading.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah, I'm
But
pretty stoked.
yeah. So we talked about how no one knows how the day's death happened, and then okay, so it mentions a race, Elidani, Elidaeni. What do we think that's about? Do we think it's like an actual different race? Do we think it's like just like they look different, or like
I'm not sure.
me neither? But I know it mentions them twice, and like because he's talking about how the historian has a certain look about him, and so he must be.
I honestly just assumed it was like a nationality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's on the map. Yeah. Elidaean?
yeah. So it's a nationality. And so what do we think about this?
Well, I mean, it could be some kind of like fantasy race or something too,
Yeah.
but
Well, like
Yeah.
what popped in my head, and this is probably completely off base, but like elves for some reason. Maybe it's just because it starts with an EL.
Yeah. Fantasy bias.
Yeah, fantasy bias. Well, so what do you think about this Margot Chastain? What do we think she's going to be about?
Well, she's old. We know that she's old, and she's got to be powerful because like she has that crest.
Right, she's the
Uh,
leader of a bloodline. But why does she want his story specifically? Is it to get to the Grail? Is there some ulterior motive maybe?
I don't
I mean,
know.
it definitely seems like Gabriel's like onto something with them trying to figure out where this Grail is.
Yeah.
But then maybe she's also like apathetic enough that she's like more curious about his story than about like
Hey, I kind of doubt that.
punishing him.
I kind of doubt that, especially because then the historians say like, "Hey, if she wanted to play with you, they'd hear your screams all the way across the continent, or something like that."
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, maybe she's so old that she's like, eh, fuck it, whatever. I'd rather have, like, this sounds like a fun story as opposed to, like, he killed
I'm,
the Forever King, so murder
yeah.
him. Like,
So I'm bored. So keep me entertained for a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. That
I
makes
don't think,
sense.
I don't think that that's likely, but I could see it.
Yeah. I feel like there's an ulterior motive for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And do we know if this is part of a series or is this like a
So
standalone?
it's I don't think the books are out yet, but I think it's supposed to be maybe a three-parter.
Okay. And here's the interesting thing too, is because we looked at the structure of the book to see how far we wanted to go on, and they're not split into parts; they're split into books. So like, there's 6 books within this book, and so is each book gonna be like a separate like story or what? I'm not sure, but maybe
Yeah,
like
or like a
each book,
separate POV.
right? Or like maybe each book addresses a different like time in his life. So like the first one might just be, his childhood. And
Yeah.
the second one, and like as we go, each book is like a different section of his life. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that makes sense too, because like we were talking about, book 4 is 55% of the way through the book, and then
Right.
5 and 6 is the other 45%.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's saying
Um,
there's 2 books in the series.
oh, okay, okay. So it has continued. He's not gonna like wrap the entire story up in this one book.
No,
I swear,
no,
if he leaves us on a cliffhanger, I might be upset.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, I don't think, like I said, I don't think the second book's out yet. Oh, maybe it is. Empire of the Vampire Book 2. Oh, no, there's gonna be 3 books, it looks like.
Ooh, a trilogy.
Yep.
Hey.
Big fan of trilogies.
So he finished the Empire of the Vampire edits on December 5th, 2022. So
Okay, so
it
this
should come out soon.
yeah. All right, well, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
already. Yeah.
So far, so good. We read more of the beginning of this one than we have the others, which I think was kind of a good decision.
Yeah, because it
because
doesn't. It
Well, that's
doesn't
what
give a
I went
lot.
ahead. Yeah, I went ahead and read the next chapter because I was like, should we end this? Because the first chapter really didn't have a whole lot in it, and
Yeah.
then the part with like him killing his sisters and shit was so important. I was like, hey, I want to throw this in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a good place to end too, because literally, okay, so I was gonna bring this up at the end, but the last sentence of that chapter is John looks at Gabriel and says, "All things must end," and Gabriel looks back and says, "I, vampire, all things." And I just, I love, like, that was like the perfect
Yeah.
place to end. I was like, oh,
That was hard, bro. That was hard.
that was hard.
Like,
Bars, bro.
yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I literally, as soon as I get up in the morning and go to work, I'm starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go tear into it after we finish up here.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, don't get me started doing that. I'll be getting no sleep, having to go to work at 4 o'clock.
Okay, well, Silver Saints. I'm also really curious to see what happens with the Silver Saints, or like what we find out about them,
What
because
the-
he's
yeah,
the last of the
last,
Silver
yeah.
Saints.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's going to give us some history,
Oh yeah, and
like
like
some
what?
kind of training montage of his.
Well, it mentions like a couple like uh events he was a part of too, that the Silver Saints were probably a part of, and so like it kind of reminds me, like, I keep thinking like the Witchers.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I was getting too, or like the Castlevania, the what's the family?
Oh,
Why am I
fuck.
blanking on it?
I could have told you if you hadn't said anything.
Yeah, right. Is it also something lion related?
No, it starts with a B. The Belmonts.
Oh, Belmonts. Yeah, the Belmonts. It reminds me of the Belmonts.
Yeah. Well, I think it's gonna be more religiously based too.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Especially with
I think
that opening quote.
Yeah. Well, I think it says that too. I think
Yeah, he says
Jean.
that they were listening to a priest when the Day's Deaths like first started. They were like listening to priests, and like he
Yeah.
regretted that.
Yeah.
Just like
Well,
what idiots we were or something.
yeah. Well, Jean says something about. No, Gabriel says something about like basically bashing religious orders or religion or something. And he's like, "Aren't you a priest?" Basically, Jean says that to him, and he just kind of like. And then what was the touche moment they had? I don't know. I don't remember, but I think their banter is going to be pretty good too because it's kind of like they're both kind of like used to being used to being in charge, snarky, and like But y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about?
No, I'm just
No, I'm
excited to
good.
get into this. This
Yeah,
is
me
like the
too.
perfect like palate cleanser after
Exactly.
all the books we've been in lately.
We've been doing so much like political intrigue stuff that this is gonna be a nice little.
That is really what I wanted it to be. I want it to be fun. I want it to be like refresh us because I feel like the books we've been reading are like really deep. Like I've had to think really hard.
Yeah.
I want to see some people cut some vampire heads off. You know.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a solid choice, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Where are we reading to? For the next episode.
Through part 4, right?
Yeah. So we'll read all the way through part 4. So like read part 4, and then we'll end right
Or
before
book
part
4,
5.
like you said. However.
Yeah, book 4. I think they're structured in books. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that's everything, guys, make sure to share, like, subscribe, and follow on your preferred platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And we have our YouTube comments open. If you have a fantasy question you want us to answer, drop it in the comment.
I'm tired. We're tired of trying to figure them out ourselves.
Yeah.
Shout out to Riley A. like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah. But yeah, we'd really like to have some community engagement with you all for there, and also talk in the comments about the book that we're reading. We keep it spoiler free up to the place we talk about in the episode, so that way people can like interact and not get anything spoiled. So,
and I think for everybody else, we're gonna do a Discord at some point.
At some point in the future, we'll end up making a Discord. But for now, we've got the YouTube comments. So, yeah.
And the Facebook page. Don't forget to follow the Facebook page.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page too. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think that's all we got.
Sounds good to me.
Well, we will see you all next time, I guess, then on The Tome Travelers.
Later.